Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Focusing in on a viewer request, and that is how to handle social anxiety. Basically, feeling awkward, feeling anxious when you're out and about, when you're out with a lot of people, or even out with a couple of people. Perhaps this social anxiety even follows you to your workplace. Basic errands like going to the grocery store, trying to clothes shop, feeling scared, feeling insecure, feeling paranoid, feeling very uncomfortable. Basically, the experience of social anxiety around other people after experiencing chronic narcissistic abuse or narcissistic rage. And, he notates that it's the feeling as if you are constantly on trial, and how this leads to social anxiety. So the feeling, the narcissistic rage, is coming from a projection within them that has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with reality. It is, in essence, a projection of their own insecurities, their own anxiety, their own harsh judgment and perfectionist standards onto you. So realize that when somebody lashes out, when they're harshly critical, constantly creating the chaos, that you're never good enough, the insults, the crushing judgments upon you, making you feel less than, making you feel unworthy, making you feel like you're inherently flawed, constantly poking fun at you, poking insults at you, scoffing at you like you're stupid, or you're not good enough, or you're imperfect, you're internally flawed. It makes you feel socially awkward. You tend to bury and then repress this shame, repress this deep and down, and try to cover it up, bury it down, and then so you have to then go out in the world and survive. But meanwhile, all this is built up and it's stored within you, within your mind, and within your body. This is really what creates social anxiety. It's the feeling of embarrassment. It's the feeling of deep sorrow and sadness. It's the feeling that somebody might find out about all the abuse that you have been through. And so, of course, if you have been a victim of this narcissistic rage, hostility, and negativity, you, unbeknownst to you, probably you have internalized that, and maybe out of a need to deal with this person, had to quote unquote accept their projection. You had to function in their rage. You had to walk on eggshells. You constantly felt you had to defend and justify yourself, constantly having to prove yourself, prove that you are okay to live, prove that you are okay to exist, prove that you are okay to breathe, prove that you're okay to eat, prove that you're okay to just be and be happy and be a person and have opinions, values, experience. It's coming from that really deep need of self-preservation. And it is that experience of being constantly attacked that occurs, that creates that social anxiety. And realize that that projection, once again, is coming from their own insecurity, their own chaos, their own internal sense of being flawed, and they have basically pushed this onto you with a big shovel. And yes, the origin of their social anxiety and then their narcissistic rage probably originated within their family of origin, so it becomes a legacy of sorts. But yet it is very important to break the cycle and own up to it and deal with it and take responsibility, especially if this narcissist is in such a character disordered state that they cannot own up and process and stop the cycle of abuse. So, this social anxiety. What is the? So we understand the source. It's coming from this narcissistic rage where they have insulted you, berated, essentially created an inferiority complex within you. Realize that this inferiority has nothing to do with reality. This again is a projection. It is a manipulation tool. It is a control tactic. that they utilize to shun you, to ostracize you, to estrange you, to make you feel and carry all the insidious insecurities and self-loathing and self-hate and self-reproach that they feel inside. So they're basically giving this to you, even though it has nothing to do with you. You, in essence, are the carrier of this rage. So, and then when you feel this, it experiences a deep wound, a discomfort. So when you're out with healthy people, you feel awkward, you feel ashamed, you feel humiliated, you feel embarrassed that this person might realize, that you're coming into this situation with a weakness. And you can feel scared, nervous, very, very uncomfortable, and very, frail, I would say. And then, that they might find out the truth. But, and then in social situations, it's not exactly the perfect time to come, to bring it up. I mean, you're at the printer machine and they're like, how is your day? And you're like, I've been abused my entire life, and this person did this and this to me. I mean, you could be there for hours, trying to share your experience with them. And then they're like, this is not, the right time to discuss this. So it creates a lot of social anxiety because you inherently fear you're not going to be able to control your communication about this. That it might just come spilling out like a typhoon, like a tidal wave, and at an inappropriate time. But yet it's lurking so very close to the surface of your everyday life because it's been so imbued in your existence. It's been so infiltrated into your identity that you've created an identity as it relates to a bond from this narcissist. When your identity is meant to be your own happiness, your identity is meant to be your own joy, your own bliss, your own talents, your own productivity, your own industriousness, your own integrity, and not just existing as a reaction to this person. So that's where you really need to embrace the fact that you can individuate, you can separate from this person and begin to identify yourself as an independent and healthy person that is not just living as a source of reaction to the shame of this narcissist, which is contrary to what the narcissist or psychopath would have you believe. So believe me when I say that the narcissist is trying to keep that inferiority personality intact because it serves them. They have an instant, way to displace their shame. They have an instant way to unload their insecurity and, the hostility and rage upon you, which you never have a defense against. I mean, there's nothing you can ever do or say to match the narcissist's rage. They're always going to win. They're always right. There's no rules that they play by, so you might as well not play the game. So really, what to do if this is your situation. Realize that you need to practice your form of expression, especially as it relates to other people in society, out and about, at a grocery store, at a restaurant, at your workplace, at your school. And because chances are, if you've been a victim of narcissistic rage, you have not had much opportunity or practice with expressing your feelings, with expressing even the littlest of emotions, such as a good morning. You have not had practice such as, how's your coffee today? Or how did you like those eggs? Or what kind of bread do we have? I mean, you cannot even participate in the most normal of conversations oftentimes with a narcissist or a psychopath because they're so imbued with this cocktail of erroneous and shame-based negative emotions and feelings and sayings where they're trying to constantly control you, pull one over on you. You cannot even have, the most basic discussions, even generally about the weather. I mean, it gets really bad. So realize that you have perhaps maybe a communication deficit or a need to communicate from a healthy place, as well as releasing the toxicity. So to release the toxicity and really, kind of process through all this, you do have to kind of quote unquote get it out, as they say. I would definitely recommend engaging in talk therapy with somebody like myself who very intimately understands these cycles and dynamics of narcissistic and psychopathic abuse, the gaslighting, the pathological lying, the dissociation, the depersonalization, the feeling of being overwhelmed, the anxiety, the depression that ensues, the feeling of a loss of self, loss of identity, the terror, the fear, the uncomfortability, not knowing where to start, all that. You need to get with someone who intimately understands this and be able to talk about it, share your experiences, describe what went on, how you were treated, how you were wronged, and then, and go through all that and then its impact on you, and then mirror back the healthy parts of yourself. So to realize that you understand this narcissist, how they abused you, and then realize that you're a separate, independent person that is not defined by them, but that you have a lot to give and a lot of other emotions besides shame, inferiority, hostility, and negativity to experience in your life outside of them. So I know that this is very important information. So if you need talk therapy, you could always contact me at peaceandharmonynow@gmail.com. We can do that, and I'd be happy to work with you on a one-on-one basis and customize a strategy and plan for you working forward. There are other organizations, that you can maybe find in your area, although I traditionally find that traditional psychotherapy is lacking in a lot of this really detailed information and tool development for working through these toxic relationships. If anything, they just work very much on the surface, and they don't really allow a lot of that healing and provide a lot of the tools. So you really do need to work with a specialist, someone who really gets it. You might be able to find support groups like this in your area from meetup.com. That's www.meetup.com. And you can find support groups that might be in your area that discuss this, narcissistic abuse support groups, things of that nature, that you might be able to meet up with other people here. I would definitely also encourage you to blog about it on YouTube here. I would encourage you to put your story out there in an anonymous way, so you can tell your story, and then you're in a community here of people who get it and can provide you insight, support, and encouragement, tools for dealing with it without being insulted, shamed, or misunderstood, and minimized. Because I find that oftentimes in the psychological community through traditional healthcare methods, oftentimes they don't really get it in depth. It's only a very cursory, dealing of it. They deal more with the general anxieties, and it's a lot of that sort of thing. But really specifically with this, I would recommend the talk therapy, the blogging, the vlogging here on YouTube, and getting it out. And to that effect, you'll then be able to learn to express your emotions rather than keeping them bottled up. And then you'll be able to air it out. And once you're able to air it out, it's kind of like it helps you as a catharsis, which basically means it's a therapeutic activity for you. So when you're able to do that, you'll find that the weight is lifted as you enter into social experiences, and it's not like holding you back. You're not constantly carrying it around with you, because it's an insidious thing. It can tend to build up even greater with time, and become more profound and more hurtful, and a deterrent to living a happy life and really fulfilling your destiny. So the talk therapy, I also recommend the various recovery tools here, the recovery journal, where you write 3 pages in longhand out every day, just to basically get out some of your experiences and write it out. It doesn't have to be pretty, flowery, anything of that nature, but it's basically to drain out your anxiety. And if you can drain it out, getting it out on paper is a good idea. Just, I feel so bad, I feel so yucky, I can't believe they did this to me, I deserve better than that. And then they did this, and then they did that, and I knew that this was going to happen. And so if you can get it down on paper, it helps you release it out, and you're able to get it out, and that helps with processing successfully as well. So I definitely encourage that, as well as the other segments of the recovery journal, which are focusing in on a clear vision of how you would like to be in social experiences, so you get an image of yourself behaving successfully. So it's focusing in on the things that you do want rather than what you don't want. And, you really do need to, then practice. I realize that this is a long video, but you really do need to then practice some of these experiences out with public. So in other words, when you feel a sense of genuine connection, when you see someone cute, like walking a cute dog or holding a cute baby, or they have an article of clothing that you like, or a manicure that they like, or some shoes or boots that they have, or their vehicle or something of that nature, where just begin to go out and start to begin to come out from a sense of strength. Compliment people. Strike up a quick conversation with someone who you see online. That's such a cute puppy, or that's such a cute baby, or you guys are such a cute couple. Learn to create a little bit, of an experience where you can face your fear, and you're then proving to yourself that this social anxiety is not running your life. Step out of your comfort zone. Get in, find out that you do have positive experiences to share, and begin to increase these in your life and in your experience. And then eventually you'll begin to create these in a more realistic and ongoing basis with true relationships that aren't anxiety based. Because what I find is that those who exhibit social anxiety, they utilize very unhealthy methods of communicating with people. So their social anxiety is reduced by going out and getting excessively drunk, getting addicted to drugs, alcohol, is a way, compulsive behaviors as a way of dealing with their social anxiety. They might use sex as instead of communication, so they come on to people very quickly. They're getting into sexual acts, very promiscuous right away because they cannot communicate. So they, project it, they sublimate it into sex way too early and inappropriately, and this gets them into trouble and then just compounds the social anxiety because they're, betraying themselves and not doing self-respectful behaviors. So they tend to then turn it in around on themselves, and becomes more of a, I can't stand that I just did that, and self-reproach, and so that always backfires on you. And so, if you're feeling like this castaway sort of experience, realize that this is due to the subconscious programming of the narcissist or the psychopath, that you are less than, that you're inferior, that you're unworthy, that you're a horrible person, all those negative messages that they implant into you, which are untrue. So the talk therapy, getting it out, the blogging, the journal, getting out into social situations where you can begin little bits, little baby steps, little bit by little bit, and begin to kind of come from that positive space, and realize that, so much of it has been suppressed. So it's a journey. You're going to need to get it out little by little. And realize that oftentimes, if this fearfulness is derived from feeling like you're going to be persecuted. So persecution means like someone is just going to get you even worse and worse. They're going to add the insult to the injury. They're going to, find your wound and put salt in it. They're going to exasperate, and they're going to cause you to live from your weakness. Realize that then, if you're then into a situation where you're attracting negative experiences because you're perpetuating this role, realize that you need to do some deep reflection and start to develop other environments for you to become part of that are going to embrace your strengths, rather than perpetuating your fear and your inferiority basis, where you feel like you have to be in these lower than you, or I would say fear creating environments that perpetuate this inferiority and perpetuate you keeping it bottled up, because oftentimes people then create environments, even that they work in, that compound this experience and perpetuate it for years and years and years, until the pain is great enough and they're extremely unhappy, extremely underemployed or employed in the wrong area, because they're living from this inferiority complex. And bear with me, I'm really going to dive in deep here because I think it's so important. Very, very important. And a lot of my channel is based on this, but as you realize, therapeutic growth is a journey, so it's not just like a one video thing. It's going to take a lot of tools, and it's going to take a lot of practice, and it's going to take daily and consistent practice to get to where you need and want to be. So and realize that this feeling of persecution, I understand that it makes it hard to relate to people. The feeling of shame and being embarrassed is essentially feeling like you've lost a sense of innocence or direct, authentic connection to people in your environment. So that is what you need to create in your reality, which is a reestablishment of a genuine connection with people, with what you truly love, you truly appreciate, and fostering and developing that. So even if it's hard to find, with time, you'll be able to reconnect to that. And, you'll begin to slowly move into your body, and not through sex, not through being false to people, but, in terms of a true communication. So it's a building, and it's an evolution process. And then, realize that you're going to need to create some energetic boundaries so you can feel safe. So you're not, you're able to keep yourself in line, and not feeling like, you're in that anxiety, that you can always find your happiness habit, your safe place that I describe in many videos here. And look at, getting involved in some classes, some other workshops that help you deal with this. Find in your community some different workshops that might educate on this, be it spiritual centers, be it workshops through therapy based locations, and see if you can find those in your area, so you can actually get some hands-on experience and training. And as I mentioned, I'm developing a book that is going to speak to this. So this is going to provide some exercises and insights, and realize that you need to loosen up the expectations that the narcissist has placed on you. The narcissist places a lot of unrealistic expectations onto you in terms of how you are to be, how you are to feel, how you are to react. And oftentimes they want you to exist in this negativity, and it's to serve them. So realize that you're going to have to break free of some of those expectations and identify them, and then dissolve them from directing you in your life. And become humble, and really learn to surrender to the genuine you that needs validation and mirroring and love and true connection, and allow yourself to work through this and experience this in, after kind of getting through the purge, I would say, of that toxicity. So that's going to be my recommendation here for you. There's, of course, a lot more on this subject, but please do focus on these tools. Please do take radical action so you can move through this, and you can always contact me at peaceandharmonynow@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to work with you specifically. Peace and harmony with you here today. Thanks for viewing. Have a beautiful day, and please share and please subscribe and help those in need.